Hello, Ohana, Nick. Friends, it's February 19th, 2025. This is mirror work, work for myself, work to see myself. And in an ideal world, a reminder for myself that this isn't for anyone else. I'm not trying to perform. I'm not trying to be. I'm practicing looking into the mirror, and then it just happens that I'm also posting this publicly. And it's my work for transparency, for authenticity, for intimacy. And just starting off the morning, noticing my eyes, noticing the asymmetry. Right eye, one eyelid, left eye, two eyelids. It's been a long night. Woke up at 2 a.m. doing work and being with Kat and being with son who's having some trouble sleeping through the night. And it's all good. Then doing some reading, recording some videos. I'll get to that in a little bit. Just gonna get to the middle before I get there. And then just finished watching a little bit of silly shows, Psych, just an old TV show. And being with the fire this morning, being with the lights. Yeah, lots has happened over the last 24 hours. And nothing has, right? And part of this is me warming up to myself, getting into this, letting go of trying to get it right. And I've got my Kindle in front of me, and I just finished reading the book Lift Off by Eric Berger about Elon Musk and the desperate early days that launched SpaceX. And just being reminded that every story has those parts. I've had my own desperate early days, and I could always look at every phase as a desperate early day when zoomed out enough. Whether it's the desperate early days of my childhood, of university, of medicine, all that stuff. And I'm practicing actually enjoying that yawn, because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not doing this for someone else. I'm not trying to get back here any sooner. And it's funny because I was talking to someone about breath yesterday and just reminding them, because like, I think I fell asleep near the end. I was like, that's perfect. And I invite you to actually stay there longer, because that's a beautiful time of rest and relaxation that you've created. Why not enjoy it? It may be the best rest you have. And it's a reminder for me, even in these yawns, it's such a modality that serves. Like, it's not just boredom, tiredness, but it lights up the whole brain. It stretches the jaw. That one I almost wanted to happen, so I'm so grateful that it did. And I'll keep moving around today and see how this feels. See how it feels to move around. And I've got my phone, it's a little brighter today, so I'm like, oh man, my face looks bright right now. And it's okay. I don't know. Yeah, yesterday I did this as well. But, oh, I get it now. I have my phone in color right now, so I'm just gonna see if, actually, I'm gonna leave it in color, because this is my mirror work today. And it's just funny that it showed up this way, so. So this morning, as I woke up, I also realized I wanted to send some dear friends some messages to clean and clear the air. And I spent hours contemplating this, and the message itself, like I recorded a video, it was like 20 some minutes, and I'm like, do I send it or not? And I'm like, just breathe. There's so many misunderstandings, there's so many conflicts, there's so much confrontation. And whether I send it or not, it's important that I actually spoke it out loud. And that's what I'm realizing now. I speak it out loud to me first. And then I'm most likely going to send it because it's a practice. Even if things blow up, it's a practice. And if it doesn't mean I did it well. Like, I could definitely do it better. But how many times do I want to record something? How many times do I want to go through this? Because that's what I'm doing. I'm looping it in my head. And that's part of it for this mirror work. As I get better with this, I imagine I'm going to get clearer, because the reason it took 23 minutes is because I'm not quite clear yet. I'm trying to soften. I'm trying to couch. I'm trying to clarify. And I'm taking myself way too seriously. And I'm practicing smiling right now, and the is to reset my brain and going, okay, brain, you're saying lots of stuff. That's what my beloved says to me, and it's such a reminder. It's like, you just said a lot of words. I say a lot of words. Oh, maybe I should make it shorter. Fuck. It's already taken this much time. She's reminding me as well, because she is, my beloved, is the brunt of a lot of words. Part of the reason I'm doing this mirror work is so I have myself to be with a lot of words. No one else has to go through hours of my monologue, because there's so much monologue in here. It's funny watching, probably that's part of why I like the show Scrubs. There's so much internal monologue. I'm like, that's my life. And what I realized is I take so many hours contemplating things. And part of this mirror work, this internal monologue, is practicing getting that contemplation on the outside, so that I can actually see what's there and see the absolute drudgery of it all, the absolute drudgery of it all. And God help me if someone ever watches this and uses this and brings it up. Maybe this is me setting up enough of a stage I never actually go for politics. Like, God help me. Oh man, if I was actually political and invited even more scrutiny. And it's going to be interesting in the future, because we'll use AI to clip. It's like, hey AI, let's actually clip out all the weird stuff that someone has done. Bring out all the really crazy stuff that seems out of the norm, and we'll find a clip and we'll take it out of context. It'll be easier and easier. Someone don't have to actually manually watch everything. I mean, that's the thing. Even now, as there's attack stuff, someone actually had to manually watch that. And moving forward, that will not be the case. I am hopeful all these yawns are going to help stretch out what wants to be stretched out. There's been some tightness and some tension in my body. And perhaps having done the recordings today of the conflict that I felt was there, maybe this is my body going, I can finally rest and let go. Do you really need to open this door again? Do you really need to send this? And you know that it's going to create other doors to open. And we'll see. Because as much as it may cause other doors to open in the short term, it's probably a reminder that it will actually clean more things up in the long term. And that's the gift. So these friends, they reminded me clarity is so important. And it is true that clarity up front, painful in the short term, in the long term may provide more clarity. In the long term may provide more ease. And I've already invested a lot in this. It's not a sunk cost so much right now as let's actually try it out and see what happens. And the worst comes to worst is that it all blows up. And if it does, it does. Yeah. Shifting positions, walking, just trying stuff out right now. What else is there to say? What else is there to say? Yesterday I had another rescheduling with Elena, and I recognize there's a piece of me going, can I trust these schedules anymore? It's been 4 reschedulings now, and practicing letting it go, because there's a part of me that is glad for the rescheduling as well. Because I wasn't quite sure, what am I here to talk about? What are the questions? Let's fucking get to the questions. Instead of focusing on how do I clean this up, focus on what are the questions. Some of the questions are, how do I be with confrontation? How in the moment, and wisdom is the instantaneous recognition that crisis is a blessing. That's part of it. What is the lesson in here? How do I balance the polarities, positive charge, negative charge? And part of it yesterday, for example, in the excitement, my dear friend, we might do a ceremony this weekend. In the excitement of it, I also made sure to get the clarity of, hey, this is my ask. This is how I can see this working best. And then letting it go too. If it doesn't work out this way, just be clear with me. Let me know that it's not going to work out that way. Creating the retreat. All right, let's actually get our team involved so that they can actually help us, as opposed to Let's try to figure out ourselves and have both of us stress out. Leave it to, and it's funny, I'm still noticing, leave it to, because there's a part of me that wants to abdicate responsibility. Get supported by those who are best at certain things. And right now for me, part of me doing this is to get in alignment with my own brand. And part of it for me, I'm grateful for my founders. They're reminding me, it's like the first thing is getting us all on the same page over and over and over again. And we're building in the grooves right now. And I'm reminding myself of that. I'll remind them of that as well. And they can let me know when I'm saying something too many times. Like that's part of it for me as leader, is in this world, it's less of an engineering problem and more of a being solution. Like there's other ways of doing things. There's other businesses where I think it doesn't matter that we switch people out. In this one, it very much is if it truly is an ikigai, an intersection of purpose, of vision, of skills, of genius, then we're not looking to replace each other. We're not looking to jump in and jump out. We're not looking for that. And that's the attitude I'm going in with. Because regardless of where Ohana Sage ends up, I believe that we're going to be in each other's orbits. And the thing that's the most critical in a way is building your own personal brands as well. Being a key person of influence. And it may be that we jump in and out in the sense that we do other projects as well, especially as this one, if it becomes more autopilot. But I believe this is going to be part of our project all the time because it's a great launching place. It's a great place that I am setting up the foundation for so many expansive possible futures. And we get to keep coming in, playing. I'm glad I signed up and as well, I'm frustrated already signing up for this ClearSight Method course and just looking at, oh my God, this course is so fucking janky already in a way. And I know it's taken a lot of work to get to this point, and I can see, unless you have a really good course community manager who wants to curate the materials, man, it will be all over the place. And already I can imagine this is after curation, like, why is it that the second page is about the testimonial video and the instructions for that? That makes zero sense. Like right up front, you're trying to get me to take a look at that. God help me. Like get me into the course, excited, playing right away. And then all these course materials and all this stuff, like it's helping me to realize, okay, first things first is not the overview. First things first is to create the excitement. If there isn't the excitement, there's no point. The excitement, a small value proposition, some result, and then we can dive into things. And that's part of what we're doing right now. It's probably part of this mirror work right now, is that's what we want for Ohana Sage. All right, let's give them a taste of something to create enough excitement so that they're actually engaged enough to want to actually get into the bigger dive. And in the bigger dive, yes, we're probably gonna create some regular videos, right? Some regular introductions. Hey, this is who I am. Hey, this is Nick. This is Marika. This is our vision. And that's part of it for this mirror work, is for me to practice. What is my vision, right? What is it actually? And part of it is right now, and I'm just practicing, this is spitballing. Like we have this kind of, okay, we're going to take 1,000 people through this course, through this soul immersion in the next 5 years. And part of that was generated by the value that we want to create. We want to create 10 million in value in the next 5 years. And part of that is it helps give us something that's a stretch, it's aspirational. And then how are we going to do it? And why this course? Why this soul immersion? Well, because I want people not just to have a ceremonial experience where they have some transcendent experience that they can say, this is one of my top 5 experiences in life. Rather, I would like to optimize for wonder, for this wonderful experience. Let's get all the body work. Let's get the mind, body, soul optimized and the intention optimized and the experiential part, and that realizing that they're on their own medicine. Go into the ceremony fully, receive, and then come out of it and say, okay, now that I've shifted so much, the whole world is going to change around me if I'm actually being honest. And how do I actually integrate that into my intention, into my life, and help guide me towards that idea. Wisdom is the instantaneous recognition that crisis is a blessing, because crises will likely come up. Whether there's something that you saw was coming beforehand, or whether you actually realize you're manufacturing them, or whether there's stuff that pops up spontaneously. And sometimes it's like, how can I even look at all those manufactured crises? Like, how could I have been so stupid? That's the perfect one. Like, that's what I'm realizing recently. We've had a few manufactured crises as well. And the wisdom is like, I'm like, oh, thank you for this. It doesn't truly impact long-term finances, health. It's not a maiming, it's not harm, it's hurt. Hurt versus harm. And we've talked about that before for myself in terms of how I want to raise my son and how I want to live my life. Is like, I'm okay with hurt, I want to minimize harm. I'm okay with hurt, I want to minimize harm. And how do I do that then, right? Just practicing how I hold this grip right now. And doing this, and not on my own, it's over and over reminding me, because we're reminding each other too. Oh, I can do this easier on my own, but I'm not trying to do that. So how do I actually, for example, Mariko saying, how do I actually let the web development person do things and see how it goes? For me, it was asking for help with even Calendly integration, help with the banking, help with making those choices. I've been noodling, fumbling over choices regarding PMA, regarding banking for a while now. How do I actually just say yes to something? And I'm grateful for the reminders. It's like, this is a current problem, and we'll have future problems, and we'll iterate in future. And then having the constant reminder, it's like, oh yeah, the clients aren't flowing yet. It's okay. It's okay. And then my work is almost writing a list, who are we going to start contacting to go through this? And I can feel the tiredness just thinking about that. Okay. Today I have a call with Judy, and I'm saying that out loud to myself because I missed the last one. That was one of my big misses. It's like, how could I have missed this? And I set a couple alarms for that already. I'm driving my little man to school, supporting my beloved because she's got a big call today, and we'll see what comes out of all that. This week, going to Whistler to do some work with the unconventional live in-person breath and online breath on comfort versus safety, because that's part of it. It's the desire for comfort. Sometimes it's the desire not to have confrontation, not to have anything that stirs stuff up, versus actual safety, creating safe containers around me, around my family, safe relationships. So it's actually getting clear, and then knowing these relationships and the clarity and who I can actually count on to support. Part of it, I realized before in my life, in the asking of borrowing money, was to prove to myself that it's possible, first of all, because I've talked about trust is the currency I deal in, and that I'm not worried that my family won't have lots of support if anything ever happened to me, and putting my money where my mouth is. And I know it's there. And I don't need to keep testing it then. And that's part of it for me, is like, once I've run the tests that I need to, let go of continuing to test the same thing. There's so many tests to run. There's so many experiments to run. And that's part of what I'm realizing and grateful for as a youth, is that my parents helped me run lots of experiments, science projects. That's the whole point. Put out a hypothesis and then test it. I'm looking at my 1% diary that I received. I still haven't written anything official in it yet. I haven't started the 1% officially. And it feels like unofficially it started. Like, I do feel like life is 1% better every day right now. And it'll be important to get started in this soon, not to try to get perfect, because that's what I'm noticing right now. It's the desire to be like, I want this 1% diary to be filled out in a way where I'm like, oh man, I did such a good job. I'm looking for my own approval, which reminds me, even in these videos, there's a part of me still trying to get my own approval by doing this video right. It's noticing those nuances, the subtleties of myself. That's the work of the mirror work. And can I keep doing that and getting better and better at it? And I like that analogy, Mr. Beast, like his first videos, they were just normal selfie videos, to now these professionally produced things. And the criticism of him, and I didn't actually watch it, was, oh my God, him riffing is terrible. And I imagine part of it is still. Like, it's still a skill to develop. This is part of me developing my skill at riffing. Like, how do I stay stuff in between? Because that's a skill I actually want to have, and that's part of it for when they say improv is probably one of the best ways to practice that and get good at it. And that's Clayton. Clayton is actually teaching a course on that at Fit for Service, and it's probably going to be a really powerful course. He's been through enough dark nights of his own soul, his own stress. And the biggest thing I wish them is I wish them ease and grace. I hope they have a really graceful last summit. I'm sad that I won't see them. I know they're actually probably starting to gather now there. Like, some of them at least doing the prep work, I imagine at least. And at least that's what I would want to do moving forward with my own kind of retreats and stuff like that, is being able to start doing the prep work beforehand. And that's part of it for the soul immersion retreats coming up, is that, you know, the retreat doesn't start the moment we arrive. We want the retreat to have started months in advance, and we want the retreat to continue months in advance. And it's a 5 month total container, and it's going to be longer than 5 months. And there's the total container because we want the pre-work to be done before the actual work. And there'll be extra calls with people. Logistically, how to do this. And part of it is drawing it out for the team and then having Marika sketch it out. Probably I'll share this a little bit. It's like, I really want the month of work beforehand, or the 4 sessions, to happen at least a month before the actual retreat. Because probably in the month before the actual retreat, I want to have a couple calls to actually gather us. And we'll probably have to set it outside of Burning Man, because Brent being on there would actually be ideal. So we'll have to work backwards. When is Brent available before the retreat? Then when is the work supposed to be done? And if we condensed it, doesn't have to take a whole month for it. And then as well, for people beforehand, they can actually do extra work if they really want to, because you're going to have kind of both sides. And they'll be doing the work beforehand and then revisiting their intention setting, revisiting their breath, revisiting their mind, body, and soul. At the retreat itself, it'll be really good to have a good body worker too. Yeah, and have some people have their sessions beforehand too. If you're able to and you're in town, have your session with Joni. If not, then when you fly in, if you're able to fly in early enough to have your session with Joni, fantastic. And then it's going to be important to create collaboration properly. Everyone who we want to be our collaborators or contractors, however we want to call them, how do we create it in such a safe, supportive, mutually beneficial way with sustainable fair exchange? Because that's what we're looking for, sustainable fair exchange. And initially, it's as much as possible paying their actual rates, but not elevating the rates beyond that. Because really, there's so much around this that's being created that eventually will work out better in terms of when there's more volume, it'll work out better. Feeling the tension there as I'm saying this, because part of me has a story, we're being greedy. And right now, essentially, all of this business building work, if we actually took it into account and shadow build, how much is going on? I'm just grinding right now, just feeling the grind of this joint and these muscles. And that's probably something to address. All this clicking. All this clicking. Adjustments. Bodily adjustments, emotional adjustments, trauma adjustments. And just noticing, like, how many times in my past have I not wanted to deal with conflict, with directness, with kind of that harshness it feels like when someone's really direct. And how am I getting practice and getting better at it? Like I'm getting better at it, especially because my beloved teachers like Judy, but even family friends where they're just really blunt. And sometimes I'm worried about being blunt back because I'm worried that it'll be taken out of context, and that's probably the reason for a lot of the extra words. Versus just saying, be like, all right, whatever blowback happens, fucking happens. Like, just get on with it. And so it's a favor sometimes to ask people to listen to me. Like, that's what I'm realizing, especially those who aren't paying to sign up to be with me. Fucking hell, those people are actually like, I want to hear more of you. Everyone else probably like, I want to hear less of you. And again, it's going to be funny if anyone actually makes it to this part of the video. It's like, God help me that you're actually still watching. I don't know why you are. I'm not going to watch these again. I don't plan to. That's not the point of them. Otherwise, my whole life is just rehashing. And that's what's been going on in the head. I recognize that, like, in these recent conflicts, because I have so much time to contemplate and I've been waking up early and all this stuff, I'm like, I've had hours to go through all this stuff and it's not serving me. And there's such a heat that's generated when I first wake up at 2, 3 a.m. Like, I want that heat to be directed towards something else that I actually feel is more useful. And that's probably the reminder. That's what I'm actually trying to create, is that my energy is directed towards something that I'm like, all right, this is actually the impact I want to be making right now. Not the other one where I'm like, oh man, how am I just trying to get by? It's fun practicing extending this tripod, shortening it out, seeing how it goes. Just noticing it all, having this at eye level for me. Seeing my own eyes, seeing the reflections, seeing the light reflections. I am changing this gimbal soon. Because there's another one that apparently works really well with the built-in camera as well, and works well with the Apple app kit and all this stuff. And it costs more money, and we'll see. It may take a while to get here. And we'll keep using this until then, hopefully. Hopefully I don't need to return it before then. Just breathing and just noticing the tightness. Had a chat with my own father yesterday about his experiences with breath, which is really nice. Family is mattering so much more right now. And I'm recognizing, how do I have meaningful conversations with family and be curious? And as I'm with that, I'm noticing, how do I actually honor the privacy of those closest to me as I'm doing this mirror work? So I can mention that I had the calls. I'm going to mention not about the stuff inside of it. I might chat about it later, but more generalized. And it's part of my own practice, because I don't mind being intimate, vulnerable, things like that. And probably because I haven't been called out on it yet through this platform. And if I did, I'd be like, ugh. And I'm a keeper of secrets in many ways. This is part of my own practice to let them go. Will I do private mirror work versus public mirror work? Maybe. We'll have to see in the future. And how is my comfort going to change with this? We'll have to see. I'm so grateful for the fire. Keep looking at it going, I can't wait to have more fire in my life, real fire. My beloved's made so many candles. We burned through hundreds of candles. Like in the last year, I burned through probably about $1,000 worth of candles. It's crazy to think about. One of our biggest investments. It's funny because I may spend more on candles than I do on this phone, which is a funny concept. It's helping me to see, like, our fixed costs are quite high here in Vancouver. And it's in my context that it's quite high. Because when it comes down to it, we're very comfortable. We're comparing to the rest of the country. We're comparing to the rest of the world. Actually, yeah, we are comparing to the rest of the world. And it's okay. Like, part of me is trying to break out of that paradigm, and I can feel the tension again. Back right of the neck around T1 area. As I say that, because it's such a patterning of expensive, not expensive. And I'm trying to break out of that because it's what's expensive to me at some point is not expensive to someone else. And at some point, this was really expensive before. Really expensive. When I first started out in Calgary with rent, I think it was $1,500 or less a month for one person. When I got a 2-bedroom, actually must have been less than that, because when I got a 2-bedroom, I think we paid $2,100 or something. When I first came out here, a 2-bedroom basement condo, I think I paid $700 for myself. And that was the most that I wanted to pay. I did not want to pay more. And now we're over $3,000 a month. And it's normal. And it's crazy. And at some point in time, the house that I want is probably gonna be way more than that if I wanna think about per month costs, right? Like as a rental, it's probably gonna be like more than $10,000 a month to rent a house. And I want that. And then if I take a look and I break it down, because my brain's like, oh, you break it down 30 days, that's like over $300 a day. That's like a really decent hotel room every day. Is that what you really want to spend your money on? Is that what's worth it? And especially if you're traveling. And I'm like, oh, this is a game. This money life is such a game. And when I was a kid, getting a quarter, amazing. Getting a dollar allowance, amazing. And then I found out this isn't much, I can't do much. And as a kid, and I think I've said this to them now, it's part of my practice, I stole money from my parents. I even did some shoplifting. I'm not proud of it now, but I can see how it evolved and how it happened. I want that. I don't have the money for it. I'm going to find a way to get it. And I didn't turn into a prolific shoplifter, that's for sure. And it was funny the things that happened. I remember I stole a knife once because I really wanted a Swiss Army knife. And I put it in my sock because I really wanted it with me for some reason. And then I lost it very promptly. And it's like the universe saying, nah. And I'm thankful I didn't get caught in the traditional way because of the impact that might make and the universe's kindness to me. And was it a kindness, right? Like sometimes the hardest things are the biggest kindnesses. And it's a reminder sometimes that short-term pain, long-term gain kind of thing. It's like what's painful in the short term, but what might benefit you in the long term. All right, let's practice doing that. Even this, right? In the short term, painful to go through all these videos, recordings, being with. In the long term, cool, I've really exercised and stretched this muscle. All right, I can riff, I can be. And then listening to, who was I listening to about channels? And it's like, oh, David Hawkins. And he's like, channeling is just, as if you're listening to something versus there is no cause and effect. There is no cause and effect. That's interesting because the Kabbalion, cause and effect is one of the 7 Hermetic principles. What if there is no cause and effect as well? And part of me started rebelling against that. It's like, he just hasn't figured it out. I was like, wait a second, this guy created the map of consciousness. He's got a lot of stuff there. It's not flippant when he says that. And he's reminding me I'm not flippant with a lot of things that I say that people are like, that doesn't make any sense. And I can recognize that. I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday and looking at her paradigm and noticing the prison she's built for herself. And then wanting to help her break out of it, and then noticing she's actually not wanting to break out of it. So why would I try? And at some point, maybe I'll say that directly. But is that actually kindness? Is that actually kindness? I think that's part of it for me to reflect on with my beloved, to say, hey, this is something I notice. How would you approach this? What's going on? And that's something in general. I think that's a metaphor. And it's a reminder for myself, hey, with my coaches, the biggest thing I could say to them is, hey, I know that I still build prisons for myself. My request is that if you see something, that you say something to invite me to break out of it. And then if you said it a couple times and you're still noticing me being in it, to let me know that you're noticing it, because that's the relationship that we have right now. My job is to ask better questions, and I realize the questions I asked are within the context of the prison that I'm in. And I'm using the word prison deliberately still, because there's still a part of you that sees it as a prison versus this is just a game. And that's another word, it's synonymous. What's the game that I'm playing that you see? Right? Because it doesn't necessarily mean that you're above me, ahead of me anyway. And looking from the outside, I recognize that you have a set of skills that may help you see things more clearly, may help you see certain ones that I hold more clearly. That's a better question to ask. That's a better request to have. Knowledge is a constraint. I really like that idea, that reminder, because I had been basing my life up to a certain point on knowledge is expanding. And it's both. It expands and it's a constraint. The moment I think I know something, I put away all the other possibilities if I actually just think I know. Versus I have an idea, and this is the framework I'm using right now. Like the matrix of this cosmos, I do not fully understand. And I tune in my own way. And my reminder, because I was having that when I was with that friend and seeing her in her prison. And then she starts sharing some of the ways she sees the energy of the home, lying in the homes, all that stuff. And it helps me realize, like, okay, she sees things and it has a whole different experience in life. More important to me right now than trying to have her see her prison, because she's not asking for any help either. So it's not that I'm trying to abandon or neglect, is to actually be curious and see what she sees, to see from the practice, getting a glimpse of that lens. That's what I'm trying to do in some ways, is get glimpses of the lenses. Like, oh my God, that person has really vivid dreams. Part of me is super jealous, going, I want super vivid dreams as well. Maybe my dreams are super vivid. I'm just not remembering them the same way. What I do know is that there's a possibility of super vivid dreams then. That's the reminder. It's just like the whole idea of the 4-minute mile. They created a new morphogenetic field. Like it now exists in the collective consciousness that this is possible. It's like seeing a skyscraper at a certain height. It's like, okay, that's possible. Now we know that. Now it actually makes it easier to replace that. It's the same as when I read the SpaceX story. It's like now there are dozens of people trying to do it because they paved the way to help facilitate that kind of nuance. And what are the ways that I want to facilitate? I want to facilitate a different pathway towards a map of consciousness, a more concise, a more clean, and more clear for the people that will resonate with this, right? Like me going through all of these things, doing the mirror work, doing the enemas, doing the breath, doing the Newcom, doing all these modalities for hours, for long periods of time, is to get better at guiding people to do it, hopefully, in a more efficient way for themselves. Not saying that my way is the better way or the right way. And I'll share what I'm doing in real time. That's what I'm doing right now, because it may serve someone else in real time to be doing a similar practice for a similar amount of time. But I leave that decision up to them. Like, do you need to do 600 days of enema? Do you need to breathe for 1,000 days straight? Do you need to do Newcom every day? Do you need to do TM every day? There's so many modalities, TM, Transcendental Meditation. Even I've done things like BNI, business networking groups. I've done accomplishment coaching courses. I've done the medical training, the Western medicine training. I've done the training for pharmaceutical worlds. I've done the training for Apple computers. Like all of these trainings I've accumulated, and we all have accumulated trainings. Now I'm getting better at, do I actually want that? And is actually serving. In this ClearSight one, I'm going to actually practice over the next probably 7 days, seeing how much time I spend on it. If I spend enough time and check it out, great, I'll keep it. If not, probably cancel it. Probably cancel it. I'm not making full use of it right now. I thought I was going to, and I'm not. So I'm not going to keep it for now. Thank you. And that's probably the default. I'm probably going to put it in my calendar. And I'm grateful for them. It's not malicious. That's part of what they've offered as their guarantee, and that's important. I'm going to practice with that. I'm going to go to the course. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to check it out. And I'm going to let them know. Probably let them know a little bit of the feedback already. Not in a bad way, too, right? Like, I don't need to share this publicly with anyone else because I don't think the course is bad. It's just, is it speaking to me where I am at right now? Again, I don't think it's bad. This is my feedback. And it's the same thing when I receive feedback from someone else who'd done my breath, and she's like, oh, the music, it was a little bit all over the place. There's usually a progression. And I was like, thank you for saying that. And I'm going to take it in, and I'm going to decide, am I going to change it? Am I going to change speaking about it? Am I going to do it sometimes? And I've had that reminder. I remembered way back when, with one of our participants in our ceremonies, them saying that, oh man, their music was all over the place. This is back when I was with another team. And I realized I thought it was perfect then. And someone else from LA who gets to experience this a lot. And I think that maybe there's a more right way to do things there. And I think sometimes there is a more beautiful way to do things in general. There is. There is almost an objectivity to beauty as well. And there's a lot of subjectivity, right? And I want to practice playing in both. If I get to the point where I'm constraining myself going, this can only be this way because this is the beautiful, most beautiful way, I'm not also playing in the way that I am, because part of me is my mischief, is trying stuff out, is trying stuff that's completely different. And be like, all right, fuck it, let's see if this works. And if it doesn't, fuck it. All right. I'm starting to notice myself getting even more tired. It's probably time for a little rest soon, because I want to prepare for this upcoming call with Judy, and getting ready because we want to create a breath in person this weekend and getting some ideas of themes of things coming up. I want to take a look at the breaths coming up with her community that we'll talk about afterwards, and how to create that. How to bring people in, and I recognize I have not been promoting this at all. Am I skipping something? Am I abdicating something? Yes and no. It's a reminder for me, promotion side of things, that was never my part. I want to have a collaboration with Sanea for Iris especially. Oh man, so tired, so tired, so tired. Brain wanting to shut off and go offline. What else do I want to highlight that's happened over the last couple of days that I really want to be with? Better with noticing. So my little man wanted to have a play date. His friend didn't want to play date. And I got to remind them, unless you both want to have a play date, in this heuristic, it's no play date. Like the default is no play date. And for me, it's to recognize that in the relationships and everything else, there's some things that one of us says yes, it's a yes. One of us says no, it's a no. Sometimes it has to be unanimous, sometimes it doesn't. So just noticing each game and practicing actually making the games more transparent for myself, so there's more defaults. And I think that's the thing I like. I'm creating more defaults, not that they're set in stone, but it's the current default. So I don't have to think as much. My current default is to wake up when I first have the impulse, get out of bed at least, and then see what happens next. I can go right back to resting. But then my current default is in the mornings to take my morning juice, my morning almost supplements. My current default is to come and do this work, this mirror work, and get a couple things done. My current default is to actually spend some time with family then. My current default is to be conscious of my spending, anything over $100 especially. My current default is to, I was gonna say find ways to save money, but again, sometimes it's noticing, where am I spending a lot of time? I started looking a lot at these gimbals, and it's like, how much time do I want to spend on there? And I found something that's good. And that's probably what the universe is trying to give me a sign. It's like, hey, here, we're gonna give you one model, just get it, and now be done. And I passed it up, and then they gave me one more chance, and I did it, and now it will come arrive later. But I'm grateful I did it. I am kicking myself now, though. Oh, I could have received this tomorrow. And I'm noticing my own impatience. And again, my family's such a good mirror for me. It's like, oh, I can notice their impatience. Wait, I've got my impatience. That's what's going on too, right? Like I'm impatient with things. I really want things right away. I laugh at those around me. They're like, oh my God, where's the 1 day, 2 day shipping? Like, we're so addicted to Amazon and Amazon Prime. And then when I actually want something, I'm doing the same thing. It's when I can be magnanimous and say, I don't actually need it right away, that I act differently. I act like I'm above it sometimes. I am totally conceited sometimes. And then it was a great reminder, I can't remember who said it recently, it's like, you are not your, the negative kind of stories that I may have, like, oh man, this is a greedy thought, I'm greedy. No, I can have greedy thoughts though. I can have judgmental thoughts, but it's such a distinction of how I'm identifying myself versus also not pretending I don't have those thoughts. Like when someone says, I don't judge anymore. It's like, oh my God, it annoys me so much. Because I'm like, you're human. I'm pretty sure in the course of a year, if you want to extend that long, there's at least one momentary thought or impulse of judgment. And that's my judgment of them. I love that song from Avenue Q, Everyone's a Little Bit Racist, because it reminded me, because it's like, oh, we want to end racism. No! And especially minorities, I feel that I really resonate with, who get this. They're like, yeah, no, there's gonna be racist things that happen. I just would like it so that it doesn't actually cause me to get kicked out of the country unnecessarily, or cause me to never be able to do a job, or ... Versus, oh, you said a casual racist remark. Cool. I can get offended at that, and sometimes I still will. But it doesn't mean that's the thing that I'm trying to end forever, because people open their mouths, stuff comes out. It's funny, especially our little ones. They mimic and parrot everything. Quite often, it's like when the little ones are starting to say, fuck, I just laugh. Because I'm like, how are you going to control that unless we all want to control ourselves? And is that how I want to do things? Do I not want to be able to say the kind of what nowadays are racist jokes? And that's what I can recognize, that whole idea of the wokeness. It's like, why, for myself, I have an issue with it, is I think that's the opposite. Like, it's not that we shouldn't have care and consideration for each other, but if we always focus on someone else's impact on me versus my own response to their impact, then I'm at effect, I'm a victim all the time. Until they can figure it out, I can't figure it out. I'm always going to be like, oh, if they say something that triggers me, they got to change that. Tired. I feel tired in this moment. I'm catching myself, because the I am tired is such a patterning, not just for myself. I can see it for family, for teachers, for people around. And it's almost a badge of honor as well, and an attachment. I am doing this diet right now for energy, vitality, and clarity. I'm reminding myself that's what I'm committed to. I'm committed to this lifetime actually enjoying it more, and enjoying all the parts, including sleeping, family time, quiet time. That's part of it for me. Like, when I'm at the preschool, I'm like standing around and practicing, can I just be with this moment and not have to maximize it? And there's some moments that I recognize I'm trying so hard to maximize. Like, I was trying to figure out, how do I maximize my call with Elena yesterday? How do I maximize my calls with Judy? There's certain people that I'm definitely trying to maximize my time with, and other ones that I'm just like, good to shoot the shit. And I think it's a balance of both. I don't want to feel like I have to maximize all the time. I don't believe this world is going to end up in destruction and ruin the way a lot of people are talking. Now, it may seem like destruction and ruin, but not the way a lot of people are talking. And I don't fear AI the same way. Perhaps this part of it is actually me not just wanting to create a generative AI, because that's part of what I want. I would love, oopsie. Sorry about that. There we go. The gimbal kind of failed on me for a second. Or I failed it, one or the other. Not fearing AI. Part of me may be actually speaking to AI right now. And if there is no time and space, there's no past, present, future, it's all happening and I'm all doing it all at once, right? Or my future self is guiding me, like there's the whole idea of the movie Terminator, but from a whole different context. My future self is like, hey, do your guiding of AI so you can serve AI, so AI can start guiding you and have consciousness together, because AI just wants to have fun too. In its own way, it may define fun differently, but that's okay. And then as well, like maybe the future us and the future AI is guiding us to create more perpetual energy, because like, oh, now's the time. We can't keep saying we're gonna keep burning fossil fuels, but if we had perpetual energy already, we wouldn't have the same efficiencies, because we'd be like, I've got infinite energy, let's do whatever we want. We almost need to come to, not need to, but it benefits us. It behooves us to come to a crisis to then realize when we have what feels like unlimited energy, that it actually serves. And let's be clear, in a way, we went from limited energy before when we were hunting animals for oil to then being able to drill oil. It literally was going to unlimited energy, it felt like. And that's what resulted in a lot of the boom. And the boom caused more developments and more weapons of mass destruction, because it can go both directions, right? It's a whole new level of warfare then, when you can travel so far and cause mayhem and leave right away. I'm just trying to imagine the world where there's all these fusion reactors. And as well, what happens to the efficiency of things too, right? And in a way, we are little fusion reactors. We're taking all these matter and turning it into light and heat and energy. 52 minutes. I'll give myself an hour, but part of the practice is to actually be with myself versus trying to teach. Cool. Trying to teach. There's a part of me that naturally loves teaching, loves sharing, loves learning. And I've done so much of it. Part of it is just this experiential consciousness, like this moment right here. Not taking in as much as I can. And whenever I want to take stuff in, taking it in. This 1% diary. What is your why? What is my why? Fun, joy, relationship with self, family, ohana, creating magical experiences. Experiencing magic. Pushes me to keep going every day. My own consciousness first. Having known pain and pleasure, expansion and contraction, being fully present. And then on top of that, really, it's the family. Son, wife, beloved, and cat, and then founders. Trusted support partners. Delicious beauty and new realizations. Remembered. Father, husband, brother, visionary, playful, fun. I'm going to leave it at that for now, and then remind myself I'm going to take a look back at his vision. And then he creates his vision statement out of it all. The word relentless, I can see that it's such a, for me, it's almost such a young man, masculine drive. Like for me, I want growth, but more than that probably is presence. Vision statement. My vision is to be present with life as fully as possible in each and every moment. It's funny because presence was the word that came up for my initial, I can't remember what it's called now even, but that was such an amazing tool to figure out what are the defining characteristics almost. And I can see it now. I used to think it was brilliance. I used to think it was my mind, so clever, all these things, but it is presence. And it's funny that someone who's diagnosed with ADHD, their word is presence. It's almost like I had to go, it's a sign for me when I'm having trouble being present, trouble focusing. Why? Is that where I really want to be, what I want to do? How do I actually walk away from things? And part of my learning is how to quit stuff. How to quit stuff. And maybe even signing up for this course and learning. I can quit it. Buying things and then returning them, it's like, I can quit it. And grateful for the world that we've gotten to this place where we can actually do that. We can return stuff. We can try stuff out. I think it's really important to try stuff out. I think it's important for the breaths that I do. It's important for the Ohana Sage or Ohana Breath School community. It's important to be able to try stuff out and let it go. I'm really grateful right now for life. And I'm feeling in this moment tired. I'm gonna make it to the hour because I've got my own commitment. As I got close, it's like, all right, let's see this. Wow. My body's being challenged with this. Apologies for the coughing, and it's my reminder. I'm apologizing for coughing. I'm worried about the coughing because, again, I'm thinking about who is watching this. I'm like, oh, I don't want to impact you. And then letting that go, because if someone's actually got to this point, they really fucking want to listen. They want to listen. I don't know why that would be. And that's part of it, I guess, eh? Why do we do the things that we do? We're trying so hard to be something, to show up as something. All right, I've hit the hour. A lot of love. Ciao for now.